What the hell am I doing in a Jerusalem hotel room watching Hebrew cartoons? I don't speak Hebrew. That's me, I'm Randy Kagan. I'm a stand-up comedian in Los Angeles.
We do whatever we want in California. We don't give a shit. We put a SeaWorld in San Diego. San Diego's a city already next to the ocean. You could save the $80 and look left.
Here's the story. I was separated from my wife and kid. It's an ugly gray area separation. You're not in and you're not out. It's just this agitated state. My wife wanted me to get a regular job. I've never had a regular job. I don't know what a regular job is. I was already institutionalized. I've been a comic for a squillion years. The idea of living without my kid was killing me. I was living on antidepressants and insomnia. Just an effing mess. In the middle of all of this, I got a call about a gig in Israel. And on top of it, I had less than a week to get ready. Now I'm a Jew and I should want to go to Israel, right? I should want to see the land of my people, walk in the footsteps of my forefathers, go gefilte fishing. And deep in my heart, as a lifelong Jewish person, I did not want to go to Israel. Plus, I'm not chach enough. On the Jewometer, I barely register a 3. You see, my grandparents fled from Europe to the promised land of Cleveland, Ohio. My grandpa told me he didn't really believe in God. He said with all the bad stuff in the world, if there is a God, he's probably an a-hole. The Holy Land for my grandparents was a deli called Corky and Lenny's, and we worshipped at the shrine of pickles. Then my parents fled from Cleveland, Ohio to Scottsdale, Arizona. We were driven out by the oppression of very cold weather. It was outright anti-Semitic. At that time, when the Kagans landed in Scottsdale, we doubled the Jewish population. I met a lot of people in Arizona who met one Jew in their lives, me. Sure, I went to Jewish youth group, but it was mostly a lot of making out and arguing, some of it with girls. My Jewish education pretty much stopped right there. I didn't really know squat about Israel. In my mind, Israel meant 3 things: beards, sand, and bombs. Israel was a place for turbo-chachers. You know, old guys with long beards, hand gesturing and arguing. I said chichel with the tzingy, not vash nishel with the chaych. And Israel was hot and dry. There weren't even any tumbleweed. It was too dry for anything to ever grow, to dry up, and then die. All I knew about Israel was what I saw on the news. People walking into falafel restaurants blowing themselves up. They blew up public buses. I live in LA. I'm already scared to death to get on a bus. They smell like pee and feet. Israel seemed like a barren land full of Jews ducking and hiding behind one thing to another, playing a form of duck, duck, Jew. I'm a stand-up comic, not a get-down, duck, look-out-behind-you comic. My sisters begged me not to go to Israel, my parents begged me not to go to Israel, and this, of course, just made me even more paranoid. I mean, why couldn't I get a gig in Hawaii? At the same time, I'm always going to different places for a paycheck. I mean, a gig's a gig. I would do Hitler's Ha-Ha Hut if it paid. I mean, that's what I kept telling myself. And the truth was, I really, really needed the money. So, I said yes. Now, I've done a ton of road gigs, but how the hell do I pack for Israel? Fedora's Guide to Bobbing and Weaving in Israel. Learn how to stay low to the ground while still enjoying your Israeli vacation. Bulletproof sunblock, flak jacket and tie. And if you don't know Hebrew, I recommend the Webster's Chach to English Dictionary. It came in very handy. At least I wasn't going to Israel alone. There was a gaggle of us, and none of them seemed worried about losing any valuable body parts.
I'm not saying my penis is big, but my moil was a lumberjack. Hello!
Steve White. He grew up in Brooklyn and knows more Yiddish than all of us. Steve was from the really, really lost tribe of Israel. He was definitely not afraid. If Steve could handle this, then maybe I could.
I don't really dive. I just stand on the board. It slowly lowers me into the water.
This is Max Alexander. He was not concerned with going to Israel. Maybe there was hope for me.
I didn't know I was an Anglo-Saxon because in Texas I was a goddamn Jew.
This is Avi Lieberman. That's right, Avi Lieberman. His name couldn't be more Jewish if it was Chachenberg. He booked this gig. If anything happens to me, litigate. Just be careful, most of his family are lawyers. Then of course there's me, Randy Kagan.
I don't understand suicide bombers. I can't get my brain around it. I can't imagine being so pissed at somebody else that I had to kill me.
Unfortunately, the only way to get to Israel is by plane. And this wasn't a plane going to Sweden. It was a plane full of Jews moving 459 miles an hour at 37,000 feet on the way to Chachland. I couldn't help feel like the logo on the plane was a neon bullseye. Bullseye Airline, just try to shoot us. I was nervous. The minute I got on the plane, in my mind, it was a countdown to kaboom. I tried to relax, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw explosions. I tried to think about anything other than exploding. I tried to think about the comics in Israel. I mean, being a working comic in Israel seemed crazy. Crazier than comedy already was. Comics are a culture within a culture. Okay, maybe culture isn't the word. We're more like circus freaks with less dental care. Stand-up seemed difficult enough under the best circumstances. How the hell can anyone be funny living in Israel? Soon enough, my mind started drifting and I found myself thinking about my wife. I forced myself to think about something less painful. Much better. We arrived in Israel all in one piece, so that was good, right? No kaboom yet. The sign on the airport said, "Welcome to Israel." It should have said, "Welcome to Israel. Good luck." Israeli airport security were fully armed for war.
They're wearing camouflage at the airport. I see you.
Security would ask questions to make sure you're Jewish. Then they bring out a corned beef sandwich with mayonnaise. Do not eat it. Security stares at you to notice any slight Jew-hating twitch. They gave me a cavity search like I was muling a Palestinian, which I was.
Security was a breeze. They took the probe out of my ass. 5 seconds.
We managed to get to the hotel in Tel Aviv without blowing up. I immediately set up camp. I figured that I'd hole up here for a while and never go outside. Unless I had to. You know, only for essentials like food, water, lotion. What? My skin was dry. Plus, I wanted to be near the phone in case my wife decided I wasn't Satan's messenger and actually called me. Luckily, they put us up in a hotel overlooking the beach. I looked down to see the sand strewn with beautiful girls like seashells. I wanted to put my ear to one just to hear the ocean. I needed to take a closer look. You know, for research purposes.
My mom sent me here to meet a nice Jewish girl, but I'm looking for a bad one.
I thought the women in Israel would look like my relatives, you know, mostly unibrows and boobs. Somewhere between this and this. But these were some of the most luscious women I had ever seen. These were biblical babes. This was Old Testament tush. Nobody mentioned any of this on CNN.
CNN is never going to report today on the Mediterranean, a lot of hot chicks playing volleyball, nobody got hurt, Randy got a boner. You're not going to see that.
My loins were aflame with new interest in this old world.
I went to the mall today, and there was this luscious Israeli girl with a gun. And I thought, what are the Palestinians worried about? I want this girl to oppress me right now. Like, baby, can you oppress me around midnight at my place?
Somehow I was feeling a little better. I wasn't thinking of my wife speed dating the Clippers anymore. It was time to join the boys for an adventure. This was our driver and tour guide, Shraga. He was oppressing us with very bad jokes.
You want to get on a camel? It's a special camel. They charge you $2 to get on and $20 to get off flight. You know why Israelis don't make love on the street? Because every Israeli is going to stop and tell them how to do it. Two Bedouins, walk through the desert, Ahmad and Muhammad.
There I was traveling with professional comedians and being verbally waterboarded by the van driver.
There is a guy, you see, who brought a new cow.
We arrive at a mountain, and I was looking forward to a peaceful afternoon of history and nature. The place was called Masada, and like most of the stories concerning Jewish history, the Jews die in the end. Sorry, spoiler alert.
The Roman army returned to its camps, assured that the whole affair would be over by morning.
It was a little-known fact that people in biblical times were out of sync. It turns out Masada was a glorified schwitz. Even years ago, my people loved to live in a very dry place, then create boxes of humidity. I think the Romans were camped at the base of the Masada, taunting the mountain Jews. But these weren't like regular Jews. They were sure-footed.
Most probably the Romans, killed them.
The Romans would mock them by screaming things like, "We've got spirit, yes we do, we've got spirit, how about you, Jews?" Please remember, I am not a historian.
This is it, the last night. My friends, we've reached the climax of the drama.
It turns out the Jewish folks of Masada committed suicide as opposed to being enslaved by the Romans, proving once again that my people would do anything to avoid heavy lifting. I was hoping after this we could go to someplace more positive, more full of life. Shraga suggested the Dead Sea. The name Dead Sea is the worst name for a body of water since Murder Lake.
I peed in everything. That was my thing. Dead Sea, peed in it. Sea of Galilee, peed in it. King David's Falls, peed in it.
I always thought of the Dead Sea as a kosher salt lake. In the old days, the Dead Sea was still alive. Then it became the I'm not feeling so well sea. Then the I've got a pain in my kegel sea. Then the sea was dead and everyone wept. Then ate. And turns out you just can't go to the Dead Sea like you're going to the beach. There are rules. Do not jump in the water. Do not splash around. Do not get water in your eyes. It will blind you and your family for life. And it can irritate women's private parts. Alright, so no splashing, no volleyball. The water can eat through your retina and it's tingled more women's areas than Justin Bieber. This should be fun.
You really put a lot of mud.
I know, well how often when I Dead Sea, baby?
Steve, how are you? Are you gonna put some mud on?
What I didn't expect was what happened when I got in the water. For the first time in a very, very long time. Are you sitting? I was calm. No, I mean really calm. Calm was never my natural state. I panic in yoga class. When I realized my melon head wouldn't sink, I looked up at the sky and felt relaxed. Relaxed in a way that made me want to lose my talking doctor, Lexapro, Xanax. Alright, maybe not the Xanax. I closed my eyes and saw nothing. No wife, no explosions.
Why does my nipple hurt?
Then my nipples started to burn from all the salt. I don't know if people were talking about my nipples or what. I know a lot of folks that would pay good money for nipple burning.
I think I found a herring in here.
That night, we were finally going to a full-time comedy club in Tel Aviv. I was gonna get a chance to hang with Israeli comics. I wanted to know what being a stand-up in Israel was like.
Of course, it's a bit complicated to make people laugh on the same day or a day after there was a bus explosion.
The joke is a mirror of the reality, and in Israel, the real is changing every minute.
We had a very interesting call from a soldier whose fellow soldiers were killed 2 days before, and he said that platoon was crazy about our show, and they said that if you cancel it because of our friends who died 2 days ago and they love that show, it will be a win for terror.
I left the Camel Comedy Club feeling like a puss. Those comics lived and gigged in Israel. They've all been directly affected by violence. I was just getting a glimpse. Why was I so afraid? The next morning we went to the old city. Old seemed like an understatement. This city was downright ancient. If you think about it, there aren't a lot of famous walls in the world. There's the Great Wall, Pink Floyd's The Wall, Wall Street, and the Wall in Israel. I usually have too short of an attention span to enjoy a wall. I'm sure I have ADD, Attention Deficit Disorder Deficit. I figure if the wall had 3 more walls and a ceiling, we could have a food court. It's sort of a tradition for people to put a note to God in the wall. I put a receipt for my incidentals, just in case. I'm not a spiritual guy, but I couldn't help but feel something at the wall. I noticed that I was thinking less about bombs. I wasn't even scared at all. In fact, I wasn't even sure what I was scared about in the first place. I can barely remember what I thought this place was gonna be before I got here.
You don't see this on the news.
It never crossed my mind that I'd be spending so much time in and around water.
Woo-hoo! Jordan River, baby, Israel. Oh, it's beautiful, gorgeous, awesome. Nothing like I thought. No bullets, no bombs. Just 3 comics on the river. Daddy likes it.
I haven't been shot. I haven't been killed. I haven't been stabbed, mocked. I don't think I was even heckled.
Nice. Finally, I'm in my own documentary. Finally.
Though there were a lot of reminders how dangerous this place is. And yet, sometimes I was relaxed as I'd ever been. After I got home from Israel, life for me got a whole lot better. I was seen by a famous dude and started touring on fancy jets. We went from Tommy T's Steakhouse to Carnegie Hall. And most importantly, I see my daughter all the time. I'm not saying my life got better strictly because I went to Israel. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe it's not.
How many things have we swam in? Dead Sea, Jordan River,